2 years ago in Milan, it was Catherine Granger and Kath Bishop of Great Britain who won the World Women's Pairs title. Of last year's Athens Olympic Challenge, Yulia Bishik. So a very good start there by the Australians. Natalie Bale in the stroke seat and Sarah Outhwaite. Sarah Outhwaite, Dan, who's doubling up in the 8.
She's doubling up in the 8. It's a tough call to do both events, but you've got pretty well nearly everybody in this lineup here today who are doubling up in the 8s as well. The United States, Schupp and Lind, they're doubling up. You've got the Belarus pair who are doubling up, and you've also got the Romanians. So really only the New Zealanders are not doubling up, and they've been doing very, very well on the World Cup circuit. They were first in Lucerne, they were first in Munich, and I would really have a look at them in the middle part of the race, because they've been looking very strong.
It is Australia going out ahead of New Zealand and the United States at the moment, and you can just see the Australians three from the bottom of your picture. It's the Americans. Now these Americans, senior debuts for both of them. It's Caroline Lind on the left there in the stroke seat, Lindsay Schupp, two young 22, 23-year-olds, and a new generation being brought to World Championships in the preparation even now for Beijing.
I think that's right, absolutely right. I think a lot of nations are putting in new combinations, coming up from under 23s, coming up from juniors, and just trying them out, giving them a real taste of top-class competition. Interesting, Australia have changed their team around a lot. I mean, they had a very successful women's squad in the last 3 or 4 years up to the Olympics, but the group that they've got here in the 8 and in the other boats, completely new. Same on the men's side. They're really looking at a whole new group of athletes, and it's Australia out in front.
It is indeed, and a decent advantage at the moment, but remember we are only in the first quarter, and Australia just being closed on there by the United States. Then New Zealand will be in 3rd place, and on the near side Belarus, and then on the far side Romania and Russia. But just to emphasize that Romania, without the services of Georgieta Damian and Viorica Suzanu, who are two very special rowers. And here are the Australians. Natalie Bale in that stroke seat. Strong start, but now you can see that the New Zealanders, as you predicted, Dan, beginning to find their rhythm and stride as we go into this second quarter.
Yeah, they're moving very well, but the United States have done a very, very good first 700 meters here. They've really pushed on hard. Just wonder how, without the experience that they have, the New Zealanders, remember that they're the only pair here who survived from the Athens lineup last year. The New Zealanders are the experienced ones, but already the New Zealanders have gone through America and putting the Australians under a lot of pressure now.
And here's our first close-up look. Nikki Coles, who represents the experience in the sense that she's the older of the pair in the stroke seat. Juliette Hay just behind her, but they are very well matched, these two, and they've got the bow of their pair now ahead. So they've really made progress in this second quarter now, and already, of course, New Zealand with their tails up from that wonderful performance not so long ago from Mahe Drysdale, and these two, well, looking very solid for a medal, but can they keep this going, or will there be a counter-attack?
Well, their push there was completely convincing. They went up to 35 strokes a minute and they just cut through the field. And Australia are down to 32, the American pair are down to 31, and they just don't look like they can respond at all. I think they've done what they could do in the first 1,000, and I think it's going to be New Zealand from now. New Zealand looking very, very good, heads are up, moving very well.
And that time, Dan, 1:55.91 for the second quarter there for these two in picture now, and that was mighty decisive, taking themselves from 3rd into a commanding lead.
They were 4 seconds faster actually in that second quarter. Fantastic performance.
But all credit to the Australians now. They realised what was happening, and they've just managed to steady the boat a little bit now, and that gap hasn't grown. The Americans still on the premises, and now Romania and Russia on the far side trying to get themselves back into it. But now, once again, the New Zealand just flowing beautifully.
Look at that, they're really stretching out, and it's a real credit to their coaching team to have produced this in the wake of the great Eva Swindle sisters in the double sculls, who've been so dominant. They seem to have brought in new athletes and really lifted the whole profile of New Zealand rowing.
And that's almost a length advantage. Remember, they've gone through now in, that's 1,250 metres gone, and they've opened up to
at 34 strokes a minute. They're just maintaining that at 34 strokes a minute, keeping their boat lively and moving. And Australia in second place are at 31.5. Now, you know, you can't stay in contention with the leaders when you're that much lower.
Something interesting happening on the far side there. Pochiteva and Starobrovskaya, if I've got that correct, of Russia, who are way out in lane one, so not easy to be over there, but they're beginning to make some progress, and they're vying now for at least a bronze medal. These two, though, just going further away.
Look at that, they've just opened it up, and they're still there at 34.5 strokes a minute, just moving very, very sweetly. 500 meters to go.
And this surely, again, another quick quarter by them. We'll get a check on that, but you can see the Russians have moved into third place as the Americans have faded, and the Romanians beginning to try and get into that fight for the bronze medal. But these two looking good for gold, and what a piece of progress this has been so far. They've still got to finish the job, but sixth in the Olympic final, and clearly the last 12 months, Dan, the work has gone well.
Yeah, just look at Juliette Haig in the bow seat there. She's just stretching there. She's sitting very low in the boat, really stretching out. Good long strokes, very accurate where the blade picks up the water. Really good rowing there from Juliette Haig and Nikki Coles.
Yeah, Sarah Uthwaite and Natalie Bale still in silver medal position. They've done really well. They really controlled the problem as best they could, and they're holding on nicely now. The Russians at the moment not making any further progress. I promised you that time, that third quarter time was 1:58.48 for the New Zealand duo, who are making the best of their way home.
Good close-ups there. You can see very, very controlled, very good movement there, and already there beginning to build it up for the finishing sprint to the line.
Russia and Romania vying, but it's Russia who are really getting much the better of the argument now for the bronze medal. The United States, I'm afraid, slipping back, and Belarus, that late change, I'm afraid, Dan, has dashed their hopes. Very rarely can someone just pop into the boat and it clicks. And it's New Zealand, well, they're opening up to 2 lengths of clear water now, with Australia in silver, Russia in bronze on the far side. But my goodness, another gold medal beckoning for New Zealand.
Very good performance from Australia there. They've held on to that second place very well. Sarah Uthwaite, the only survivor from last year's squad in the Australian team.
So New Zealand take the gold ahead of Australia and Russia. And I tell you what, Dan, Richard Tonks must be smiling.
Yes, what a great coach. He's really transformed New Zealand's efforts there. That's two gold medals, one after the other.
That was a race that really went to plan for the New Zealanders, first and sixth. But New Zealand and Australia, well, they're dominating Europe and the rest of the world. And for New Zealand's Nikki Coles and Juliette Haig, an ambition and dream realised.